Alright. Alright, so today we are going to go over the construction of a common 4-bolt hole flange, circular. We're also going to incorporate Begingrid in case we need to duplicate said part. So we're going to move to flash cut. Okay. Now, do you guys want to draw it out or do you want to do it manually?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll draw the skeleton and we'll do the program manually. All right. Let's see. We'll go with a. A pretty good sized flange. Usually they're about 6 inches. So we'll go 3 and 3. Okay. Alright, so we got our 6-inch diameter flange here. Okay, and now we have to position our 4 bolt holes. We also have a shape tool that we can use. I know we haven't experimented with that a lot, but we'll definitely get into that. It comes with preloaded, I'll pull it up real quick. It comes with preloaded flanges, base plates, triangles, stars, and basically all you do is change the variables in the parameters box to get it to be, what you want. But we're gonna work on this manually. So, okay, what we got to do is we're gonna have to create another circle. Okay, we want all these bolt holes to be 1 inch in from. We'll call it. We want them to be 2 inches in from the center. So we're going to create another circle inside that's 4 inches. Okay, this is going to give us our reference marks. Okay, we're going to hit our check mark. Okay, we're going to end up erasing this. Well, I guess we don't really have to erase this. Let me backtrack for a second. Actually, no, we don't have to do that. Okay. Now we're going to create a 3-inch inside hole for these flanges. Okay, we want the bolt holes to be a 1/2 inch in diameter. Okay, we're going to click that. All right, so now what we're going to do is create circles, 4 circles, and we're going to use object snap to pick our reference points. Okay, pretty easy to do. Go to our circle tool and we'll start here, and we should get a 1/2 inch diameter circle, and do the same thing here, 1/2 inch diameter circle, same thing here, 1/2 inch diameter circle, and same thing here, 1/2 inch diameter circle. We're going to hit our green check mark. Alright, what we're going to do now is we're going to take out this outside ring. You know what? I messed this up. These should be over a 1/2 inch. That's okay. We're going to delete these. They should start up here. No, one below it. Right here. There we go. That's what we want. Alright, so we move in 2 blocks. Move in 3 blocks. And we stretch it out 2 blocks. We want the same distance. We want the same distance between the outside of the flange and from our inner circle to the inside circles. Now these come in a variety of shapes and sizes, but we're just going to do one that's, you know, pretty common. All right, so we have our basic flange here. Now, we could add some more bolt holes. We could make it 8 holes. Maybe we'll do that. You know what? For now, we'll leave it at 4. We'll leave it less complex. Okay. So the object of this would be it would be something that they'd use in pipe and sprinkler fitting. If they have 2 flared pieces of pipe that they want to join together, they could use these flanges and mate the pipes. You know, one end would be flared, the other end would be tapered, okay? Or, no, actually both ends would be flared. There'd be a seal inside inside each one of these. They would force them together, and then they would connect them with, you know, like 1/2 inch diameter bolts or 7/16 diameter bolts to join the 2 pieces of pipe together. You see it a lot during like shutdowns where they need to do maintenance on pipe. They'll cut pieces out and they'll use these flanges instead of taking down a whole assembly. It gives you the ability to just replace certain pieces. Okay, so we're going to save this. We'll call this BG Flange lecture. And we'll put today's date, which is the 21st. First day of winter today, guys. Are you aware of that?
Yep, sir.
Alright. So we have our flange, okay? And since we're using Begingrid, we know that we can leave it on top of the axis. Okay? We take it into cam. Actually, let me copy that file name again. take it into cam. And since there are no corners, everything's round, all of the leads are going to be arcs. And all of the leads lead into the circle in a 90-degree position. So if we were to use the simulator tool, and we'll window in, I don't want to go too small because this one is 6 inches. Okay. Let's hit play, and we can check the order that the holes are going to get cut. Okay. So it's doing the very inside first, and the 4 flanges, and then the outside. Makes perfect sense. Alright, so to me, that looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and turn this into a G-code. I'm going to use the same file name. Okay, give it a few seconds. We're going to go into CNC, open the file, and we may start getting errors right away. Once I zero everything out, turn our dry run on. If we were in the shop, we connect our power. We got our torch in position, zero it out. Okay. For some reason we didn't get any error codes, which is weird, but I think if we tried to cut it, there definitely would be a problem because we are outside of our work pieces. Okay. So, all right. Not too long of a code, but let's go ahead and we're gonna set this up as a single cut, and then we'll add the Begingrid information in. We will go ahead and put in our home position, G00, X0, Y0. Okay. Now line number 5, that's the start position of the inside of the 3-inch diameter circle. Okay. Line number 6, G603, that's our first shape. So we're gonna label this inside. Line number 7, that's our lead. Line number 8, that's the circle itself. Since we're using a lead, we don't need to cut it twice because it gives the torch enough time to engage. Okay, but back up here. As soon as I see a 603, what do I need to do with the torch? Like, always happens after we see a G6. Right. Turn on our torch. Okay, we make our cuts. In between line and 10, I see the transition between G03 and G00. I know right there the torch has to be off. What's the code to turn the torch off?
M51.
51. Okay. Now, before we move to the next shape, there's something else we got to do with the torch. You guys remember what that is? We'll follow this pattern the same way down. We don't want to move it right to the next piece just in case we run into any melt or dross. So in between different cutouts, we want to raise up the torch. 00, Z 0.5. We raise it up a ½ inch, okay? And then in line 12, we move to the next position, okay? That's where our next, our bolt hole is gonna start, okay? So we raise the torch, we move it to this spot. After we get to that spot, what should we do with the torch? Before we start cutting. Because we don't want to leave it up in the air. So what should we do with it?
You gotta bring it back down.
Right, you gotta bring it back down. So that's G00, Z0. Okay, so now we're back down to operating level. Okay. All right, so we got another G603. We're gonna label this one bolt 1. Okay. Same pattern. What do we do right after a G603?
Turn the torch on.
Exactly. Okay. Line 16 is going to be our lead. Line 17 is going to be the circle. You see the transition between G03 and G00, which tells us the torch has to be what? Off.
Off.
Right. Okay, and then what do we have to do before we move it to the next point?
Pick it back up.
Right. Excellent, gentlemen. Excellent. Raise it back up. All right, this is where we move to the next point. So now that we're at the next point, what do we got to do with the torch?
Take it back down.
Right, take it back down. Bring it back down to our 0 mark. Okay. Got another G603. We're going to call
Turn the
this
torch back on.
hole 2. Okay. What happens right after G603?
Turn the torch on.
Turn the torch on, very good. I'm going to keep asking you these questions. I know they're repetitive, but I just want to know that you guys are following along. Okay, we got our lead, we got the circle. Okay, I see the transition to a G00. So what happens to the torch? We turn it off, and then we also have to do what?
Raise it up.
Right, we got to raise it up. Okay, we move to the next spot, and then we do what?
Bring the torch back down.
Right, very good. We bring the torch back down. All right, we got another G603 here. Hole 3. Good. Right after G603, we do what with the torch?
Turn it on.
Turn it on, very good. Okay, we have our lead, we have the circle, we see the transition in between the two. We know it has to be off, and we also have to do what?
Raise it back up.
Right, raise it up. Move to the next spot, and we lower it back down. Okay. Now, we got another G603. This is going to be our bolt hole number 4.
Turn the torch back on.
Right, exactly. Turn the torch on. Very good. Got our lead. Got the circle itself. Got to turn it off.
Raise it up.
Up. Very good. Move to the next spot. Lower
Bring
it
it
back
down.
down.
Good.
See, It's all a pattern. Pattern's the same through the whole thing. Okay. Now we got our last G603. This is going to be our outside circle. So I'll label this perimeter circle. We have our lead. We have our circle. After that's done, we need to turn the torch off. We need to raise it up. Okay. And then the last line is to return to the home position. Okay, so this is a setup just to cut one. All right, so we're going to go ahead and save this. We get errors now because we're outside the envelope. All right, so if we were to close this, it wouldn't cut because we're overlapping the X and the Y axis. But now we can put in our Begingrid info. Okay, that's going to go in after line 3. You can put it in after line 4, but I like to put it in after line 3. All right, we're going to type in Begingrid. All right, and to keep this as one entity, we're going to have one column, one row. Okay, we're going to move our start point to X 0.5. We're going to move our Y start point to 0.5. Okay. We know the total diameter of this flange is 6 inches. So we need to go 6.5 inches to give us adequate spacing in between each one. Even though we're only cutting one, we still need to set it up as if we were going to cut more than one. So when we go back in, everything's already laid out the way we need it. So we'll put 6.5 in for X, put 6.5 in for 1. We'll build it by rows, do a zigzag pattern. Okay, and we'll go over that again. And then down here, right after we turn off the torch, that's where we type in our ENDGRID. Okay, so let's save this. Let's close it. Okay, see, now we moved it to an adequate position to where there's room for our leads, to where, we can make adjustments. Usually the material that we would cut this out of is going to be like 5/16 steel, and it's only 7 inches in width. So in this particular case, we would only add to the number of rows. We would keep it one column, but we can add several when it comes to rows. Okay, it looks like our next point would be 7. Okay, well, that would be if we were doing G52. Our coordinates for the next one would be X 0.5, Y 7, and then we could start a new one here. But since we're using Begingrid, okay, we just go in here. All right, let's say, all right, we got one column, and we need to cut out 5 of these guys. Type in 5, save it, close it. Now we got 5 in a row. So, like I said, definitely, I gotta tell you guys, I was really impressed when you told me that you just wanted to incorporate Begingrid into all of our codes. None of my groups have ever asked to do that. So, I actually told Sherman about that. about how impressive I thought that was, that you guys decided to do that, man. Man, as a teacher, and there's not a whole lot you get excited about, but when you hear something like that and something that's as complex as Begingrid, and you guys want to incorporate it into all your codes, that's a really big deal, man. That's telling me that you guys are on your A game. You know, it's not going to hurt anything if we just put it in there, but you know, say we do need to cut out multiples. You know, we have that ability to go in and do so very easily. You know, say we did have a bigger piece of material. Say we had a huge 48-inch piece of material, and we could do more rows. You know, we could just go back in real quick, change it to 5 columns. Close it. You know, we can just adapt it to as many as we have room to cut. So it's you know, it's pretty impressive. So I'm gonna go back in here, and we're just gonna leave this for the sake of programming at 1 and 5. So just to go over the begin grid again, it's columns, rows, starting X point, starting Y point, the incremental distance between each part from the lower left hand. Even though this is a circle, you would just imagine it from the leftmost portion of the circle. Okay. Same thing in the Y direction, 6.5. We're just adding a 1/2 inch to the 6 that's already there. This is for if we want to build it in columns or rows. I always pick rows. And this is if you want to cut it by the column, by the row, or if you want to do zigzag. And I always like to do zigzag. All right. Just for demonstrative purposes, yes, I want to save. Okay, I'm going to just play this. There's one more thing that we have to do. Should cut out pretty quick because I left it at 3:36, and we won't go through and cut all of them. And what time do you guys have PLC at 12? Or that's just on Tuesday and Thursday?
And Thursday,
Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 to 1.
yeah.
Okay. Damn, just an hour? Twice a week? Ugh.
Yep.
All right. Man. Yeah, that's crazy. You guys are there like all damn day. Every day. All right. Listen, my day to work at the school is on Wednesdays. I just came in today because I had some other stuff I needed to do. So tomorrow when we have our meetings, you guys aren't going to see my face because I don't have a webcam on my other computer. All right. The last thing we need to do, I'm going to see if you guys can pick up on this. All right. Look at this code and tell me what's wrong with it. There's something that we would need to change in several lines. Every circle we cut out, there's an issue with every single one of them. Just take a look at this and see if you can tell what the issue is. I'll give you a hint. Every time we start a new shape, it's in the first line of the. It happens in every line where there's a lead. There's something that needs to get changed. See if anybody can get it.
Looking.
All right, I'll give it to you. The speed, it's way too fast. Set at 336 inches per minute. So we need to change this to a more reasonable cutout speed. The quickest way to do that is go to edit. We're gonna replace. We want to find everything that's F336. And we're going to change it to F35. We're going to replace all of them. Only takes a second. Okay. Now all the speeds are changed to 35. That's like normal operating speed. Now we'll save it. And now we'll close it. All right. So I'm going to X this out. Actually, first what I'm going to do is, no, I don't need to do that. I type fast enough. All right, we got about 15-20 minutes left, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back into CAD, and I'm going to take some notes here. Okay, we're going to see how we could draw this flange out manually. Okay, and we're gonna pick some point. All right, we know the radius of this outside perimeter circle is 3 inches. Actually, we need to start from the inside. Okay, all right, so the radius of this inside circle is 1.5 inches. Okay, now the start position would be right here, okay? And if we zoom in, it's at X 1.5, Y 3. So we'll write that down, X 1.5, Y 3. We're gonna write them all down, okay? All right, this one here, if we were to follow this down, this is going to be at X 2.75. And the Y is going to be 5.25. Alright, so we got those two. Let's get this one here. Alright, so our X position is going to be 5. Our Y position is going to be 3. Okay. And we know the radius is 1/4 of an inch. I forgot to say the one we just did is 1/4 of an inch. All right, down at the bottom, we have a similar set of coordinates as the one that was on the top. We have X 2.75. And we have Y 0.75. So if we were to, follow that over, it's right in between the 1/2 inch and the 1. So that's what we need. Radius is 0.25. Okay. And we got this circle here. And this is an easy one. X is going to be at 0.5. Y is going to be at 3. Radius is going to be at 0.25. Okay. And now we just need the outside. Okay. Our X position is going to be at 0. Our Y position is going to be at 3. And the radius is 3 inches. Alright, so we're going to write a code. Say if we didn't have CAD, how would we do this manually? So we're going to do a G20, M106, H plasma 1. Do hashtag fabhead dot mode equals cut. Put on our home position. Put in our first G603. Turn the torch on. Okay. Now our first circle was, oh, we got to put a start position in here, I'm sorry. We've got X 1.5, Y 3. All right, so, sorry, that should be a G002. All right, so we got our start position there. All right, for line 8, we're going to put the same thing in there. We got G02, X 1.5, Y3, okay? And each one of these, we're moving from left to right, so they're going to be positive I adjustments. That's how we're going to set it up. There's going to be no J adjustments. So we know I is going to be positive 1.5. J is going to be 0. Speed, we'll call it 35. All right. We're going to copy this line. Paste it. And I'm just going to take out the speed because we don't need that. We're going to turn our torch off. Raise it up. Put our next point in here, which is X 2.75, Y 5.25. Lower the torch back down. Put in our G603. Turn the torch on. And I forgot to put the G00 in there. Alright. Going to use the same coordinates. I'm going to use G02, X 2.75, Y 5.25. We know the radius was 0.25, so I is going to be a positive 0.25. J is going to be 0. F is going to be 35. I'll copy this. C. Torch off. Raise it up. Okay, we move to our next spot, which is X5. Y3. Yep, just X5, Y3. Bring the torch back down. Put on our G603. Use the G02, put in the same coordinates, X5, Y3. We know the I is going to be a positive 0.25, and that's because every position I picked was on the left-hand side of the circle. Okay, J0, F35. We're going to copy this. Control C. Control V. Oh, forgot to turn the torch on. Okay, we're going to turn our torch off. I'll raise it up. I'll move to the next spot. X 2.75. Y 0.75. And torch back down. And our G603. Torch on. Use the same coordinates, G02, X 2.75, I 0.25, J0, F35. We'll copy all this. I'll paste it. Turn our torch off. Raise it up. And we're going to move to the next spot, which is G00, X 0.5, Y3. Torch back down. Use those same coordinates, G02, X 0.5, Y3, I 0.25, J0, F35. I'll highlight all this, copy it, paste it, turn the torch off. Did turn it on, man. Oh, man, I messed something. Yep, sure did. G603, 50, torch off, raise it up. Move to our next point, which is going to be our outside perimeter. So we got a G00, X0, Y3, G00, Z0 to bring it back down, and G603, M50. Use the same coordinates, G02, X0, Y3, and the radius, well, the radius was 3 inches, so it's going to be I 3.0, J0, F35. Copy this. Paste it. Turn off our torch. We're going to raise it up. And we're going to return to our home position. Let me save this as use the same file name, but I will type in manual. Save it. Now, provided I did everything right, we should get the same flange, which, I mean, to me, it looks like we accomplished that. This, the same. Okay. So, we would do the same thing. We put our begin grid in after line 3. ENDGRID, do 1 column. We'll do 5 rows just like the other one. We'll start at X 0.5, start at Y 0.5, got 6.5 inches of spacing in the X direction, 6.5 in the Y. We'll build it by row, we'll do it zigzag. We come down here, right after we turn the torch off at the end. Open our ENDGRID, save it, close it. Got the exact same thing. We just programmed it manually. And the only difference is we don't have leads, so we would be going around each circle twice. But that's just another way that we can do it. So we covered both the CAD method and the manual programming method. If you guys need a copy of this, hold on, let me stop the share here. If you guys need a copy of this for reference, that's no problem. I can do that. I'm going to give you guys a little assignment. It's not going to be anything complex, but it'll be like the ones that we do in the Word documents. I'm going to give you like a task to do with some instructions, and I want you to write a program and put the begin grid info in, and I'll give you like all the layouts of like how far I want the spacing apart, where I want the part to start, but and it'll be something simple, but I'll give you guys some time to work on it. And then we'll go over it as a group. So I want to go ahead and do that today. Is there any questions about anything we covered today?
No.
Okay. All right, gentlemen.
Yeah. Are you
You
going
do?
to receive a reference?
What's that?
You say you're going to make a reference for this, right? Or something?
Yeah, I'll make a video, and I will the video that I recorded, I'll put it on post in a Teams account.
Okay.
That way you can rewatch it, and I'll send you copies of both the CAD version of the Begingrid and the one that we did manually, okay? I want you guys to write one manually. What I'm gonna have you do is, I'm just gonna have you do a square, something simple, but then I'm gonna ask you to duplicate the square. And, I just, want to get an idea where we're at with it. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for thought process, so. But yeah, I will convert this into a YouTube lecture that I can post on Teams. So, okay, any other questions?
No, that's it.
All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow at 9:15.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Cool.
Take it
Thank
easy.
you.